Hello and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be doing a reading weekly update. So if you've ever wondered like how many books I've read in a week, how many pages I read per day, you're going to see that throughout this video. So at the end of every single day, I'm going to sit down, talk about the books that I'm reading, how much of the book I got through, and generally what I'm thinking about it in the vaguest way possible. There will be no spoilers at all in this video. Without further ado, let's get into it. It is the end of the day Monday, and I have been reading Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. I was able to read chapters 9 through 27, which comes out to 181 pages. For those of you who don't know, Julie Soto has also written books like Forget Me Not, Not Another Love Song, and The Thrashers, but this is like her first foray into romantasy. But what's also special about this book is that it's based off of the very popular Hermione fanfiction, The Auction. And if you don't know what Hermione fanfiction is, it's Harry Potter fanfiction where the couple is Draco Malfoy and Hermione Granger. This is actually not the first time she's taken one of her popular fanfictions and turned it into a traditionally published book. I believe Forget Me Not was originally Reylo fanfiction, which if you don't know is Star Wars fanfiction where the couple is Rey and Kylo Ren. This book is about a princess whose kingdom has just lost a war. Her twin brother, who was supposed to be this chosen one and who was prophesied to win the war, ends up dying. And during the aftermath, a lot of her people are sold off to the highest bidder in something that they call the auction, where they're going to be used as slaves and a tapped magic source. I did not read the auction as a fanfic, so I don't really know how this traditionally published version is stacking up against the original. I am thoroughly enjoying this book so far, but I don't really know if someone who has no understanding of Harry Potter would like this book at all. Like, I'm able to like connect the dots, but I fear that there are a lot of plot holes and world development holes. Things weren't developed as much as they should have been, especially now that we're going into like a new IP. When reading fanfiction, it's already expected that you read all of the books related to that fanfiction. So like with Hermione fanfiction, it's implied that you've read the entire Harry Potter series already. So in the fic, things about the world and the characters aren't really explained because you already have that information already. And you can kind of see that Julie Soto, when adapting this, didn't really build a sense of world building. Like, it's there, but it's very simple and it's not really insanely explored. And you can tell like, oh, this is Hogwarts and this character came from this character. But like the intention behind the story isn't always clear. What I will say is that I'm a little over halfway through the book, and despite like these kind of like glaring issues, if you've either read the auction already or if you have a really good base knowledge in Harry Potter lore, I think you're gonna really like this. I don't think those issues are gonna bother you all that much because they really don't bother me. It is Tuesday. I am still reading Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. I read from chapters 28 through the epilogue, which was 204 pages, and I have officially finished the book. I really enjoyed this a lot, but I can really acknowledge that it's mostly because I am a Harry Potter fanfic girly, and this book still retained that energy, which I really liked and appreciated. But if you're someone who's just picking up this book because you think it's interesting and you don't really know the lore behind it, and you don't understand that it was once a fanfiction, or you haven't read the fanfiction, I don't really know if you're gonna like this book, because the world building is very dicey, and the main villain isn't very compelling. Like, translating Voldemort into this new villain definitely didn't happen very well. Like, I spent the entire time reading this book not understanding why this character was so powerful, or why people were so afraid of them. I think you need the context of, like, for example, like Voldemort's entire backstory to understand really why he's so terrifying. You don't really get that with this new villain. And it's really ultimately little things like that that kind of fail this book in some way. But this is book one in a trilogy, so I do have a feeling that we're gonna learn more, hopefully get more of that world building, and maybe even some more character development. So as a summary, if you enjoy Harry Potter fanfic, or you've read The Auction, you're probably gonna really like this book. If you haven't read The Auction or don't enjoy Harry Potter or fan fiction, I think it's kind of like up in the air. What I will say though is that the romance plot is very good. So if you're someone who can really be carried in a book by how good a romance is, you're probably gonna like this. It is currently Wednesday, and I started a new book today, which is Heavenly Bodies by Imani Aru. It's adult romantasy, and it follows our main character, who is a queen of a kingdom, and she is kidnapped by a neighboring kingdom where the king wants to utilize her magical gifts to kill the king of the stars. I read the first 10 chapters, which comes to 78 pages, and I'm not gonna lie, fam, I don't know if I'm loving this. I'm not far enough to get the full vibe yet, so I'm gonna stick it out a little longer, but I think potentially this might be my first DNF of the year. And I think my overall issue with this book is that it kind of just lacks substance across the board. Like, we were thrown into the plot immediately, which I don't dislike. Sometimes it really works when you kind of just get thrown into it immediately and see what happens. But it feels like with this one specifically, we skipped a couple of steps. Like, I don't really understand character motivation. Our two romance leads like hate each other, but it's like not really I'm not really sure why. And then of course it's that stereotypical thing where it's like, oh my god, he's just so hot. And then it's like, but why else is she attracted to him other than just the fact that he's hot? Like, every MMC is hot. That's the whole point. They're gonna be like, oh my god, my love interest is so ugly. So that's what I'm meaning when I'm saying that there's a lack of substance. But like, also naturally, I'm very curious to see where this goes. Like, will it get better and surprise me? I have read books in the past where the beginning is like weak, but the rest of the book is really good. So we'll see if this book kind of does that. But as you know, I will keep you updated. It is currently Thursday, and I am still reading Heavenly Bodies. No, I have not DNF'd it yet. I'm still giving it a chance. I feel like there might be more to the story than what I'm reading so far. Anyways, I read from chapters 11 to 20, which is 75 pages. My gripe with this book is that nothing in it is bad. Like, the writing isn't bad, the story itself isn't bad, the characters aren't annoying. It's just also at the same time, none of it's good either. So it's like the plot isn't amazing, the characters are okay, and the writing style is average. Nothing glaringly wrong, but like, it's not like waxing poetic either. And what I think this book is missing, and I kind of touched on it yesterday, is that like, it kind of lacks context and detail. Like, it feels like some of these plot points need to be explored a lot more than they are. And granted, they could be going forward, but I feel like they should have been explored more already at this point. And once again, it still kind of feels surface level, but like, not in a bad way, just like not a good way either. It is Friday, and I'm still reading Heavenly Bodies. I read chapters 21 through 33, which comes out to 83 pages. I think I'm liking this story marginally better than I did before, like over these last couple of days. Now that I'm like halfway through the book, I kind of get the vibe. And I'm not saying that the vibe is good, but I think I'm getting it a little. And I think that the plot is moving in a good direction. Like, we're seeing movement, and that's really all I can say at this time. But also, to add one little comment real quick, there's kind of like a religious subplot of this book, and these like almost like deities that they mention throughout the book, I wish that concept was better explained, because I feel like it is like a part of the main plot of the book, but we don't really get a lot of information about it. And I will forgive this if we do get more by the end of the book. It is Saturday, and to change it up a little, I am currently reading A Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McEwen. This is an adult romantasy book, and I'm reading this along Saga Press for their book club. So I had to read my chapters for the week, which were chapters 46 through 57, and came out to 79 pages. This book is set in a world where there are crafters and alchemists. Alchemists have magic and crafters don't. And when you're 12 years old, you are brought to the city, where they test you to see if you have magic within you. And while there, our main character discovers that everything is not as it seems. I'm actually enjoying this book a lot. I really like Stacey McEwen's writing style, and I also really like specifically how she writes characters. I will say my one main critique with this book is that I wish a lot more happened plot-wise. Like, I'm roughly 90% through the book, so like literally almost at the end, and I feel like not a crazy amount has happened. But that could also be because of how long I've been reading this book. Normally I'll bang out a book in less than a week, and I've been reading this one for over a month, because I've been reading with the book club. So I feel like if I was reading this continuously, maybe the plot wouldn't feel so slow. We just got to a point that's very dramatic, so I'm very excited to see where this goes and kind of how this book wraps up, because I'm assuming we're gonna get a book 2, but I actually really don't know if that's true. Like, this could be a standalone. I doubt it, but it could be. It is Sunday, and after my short hiatus, I am back reading Heavenly Bodies. I read from chapters 34 to 46, which came out to 74 pages. At this point, I'm roughly 3/4 through the book, and since this is probably the last time you're going to hear me talking about this book, I'm going to say I really wish this was executed better. Like, there was really so much potential across the board when it came to the plot, the magic, the world building, the characters, the romance. And while this book literally doesn't do any of it really bad, as I've been saying, it doesn't really do any of it good either. And throughout the book, I've been noticing kind of like plot holes, which honestly totally makes sense. And it honestly makes me so frustrated. I think it's also one of the biggest hurdles when a book goes from being indie published to traditionally published, especially when it's already kind of well known, because they're not going to change anything in the book, even if there are things that should be changed. Thank you for spending the week reading with me. As a little summary, over this week I read 3 books. 1 I finished and 2 I'm in the middle of. and I read a total of 774 pages. It was very interesting keeping track of my reading from day to day. I don't normally do that. Like, I usually quantify my reading on a monthly scale, but never on a day-to-day or weekly scale. I had a lot of fun making this video. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share, and I'll see you in the next video.